Hello guys and welcome. Today we will explore the journey of The Human Computer, the Katherine Johnson story. July 20th, 1969. The world held its breath. A 250,000 miles away, humanity was attempting the impossible, but the impossible isn't achieved by chance. It is achieved by precision. To guide a spacecraft across the cosmos, to ensure both launch and return, required a level of mathematical certainty that was absolute. It required perfection. We celebrate the giants of the space age, the astronauts, the engineers, the men in the control room, yet, for decades, the true architects of these flawless orbital journeys, the individuals who laid the mathematical bedrock for our civilization's greatest achievement, remained hidden. They were the human computers, and at the heart of that perfection, standing against the relentless sweep of history, technology, and prejudice, was one extraordinary mind, Katherine Johnson. This is the story of the woman who, with nothing but a pencil and an uncompromising intellect, launched us into the future. Her equations didn't just define a path to the stars, they charted a course for change. Her story begins far from the blast-off pads of Cape Canaveral. She was born Creola Katherine Coleman in 1918 in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, a small town, yet her world was immediately defined by the enormity of her intellect. From the earliest age, the universe spoke to her in numbers. She didn't just understand math, she devoured it. She saw patterns and relationships where others saw only symbols. I counted everything, she would later recall. I counted the steps to the road, the steps to church, the dishes and silverware I washed. This obsession was not a quirk. It was the foundation of a genius destined to conquer space. The educational opportunities for black children in White Sulphur Springs were severely limited, stopping after the 8th grade, but her father, Joshua Coleman, a farmer and handyman, was absolutely resolute. He recognized his daughter's rare gift. He famously drove his family 120 miles every year to Institute, West Virginia, a place with a quality high school. Forging a path where none existed, he sacrificed stability for education. The gamble paid off spectacularly. Katherine was a true prodigy. By the age of 10, she was a high school student. By 15, she entered West Virginia State College, historically black institution. Here, her talent found a critical mentor, Dr. William Schieffelin Claytor, the third African-American to earn a PhD in mathematics. Claytor didn't just teach her the standard curriculum, he created special, advanced courses just for her, including the most cutting-edge mathematics of the time, declaring that she was ready to become a research mathematician. At 18, Katherine graduated summa cum laude with degrees in math and French. The year was 1937. A brilliant future lay ahead, but the professional world was trapped in the rigid constraints of the Great Depression and Jim Crow segregation. Her initial career path, like many brilliant black women of her generation, was teaching. But destiny intervened when, in 1939, she was selected as one of 3 black students, and the only woman, to integrate the state's flagship graduate school, West Virginia University, beginning her studies in math. Though she would leave that program to start her family, the stage was set for the defining act of her life. Following World War II, a crucial need was growing at the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA, the predecessor to NASA. The burgeoning aviation industry demanded an avalanche of data. NACA needed human calculators. They needed computers. In 1953, after raising her young family, Katherine Coleman, now Katherine Johnson, following the tragic death of her first husband, applied and was hired by the Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory in Hampton, Virginia. This was the epicenter of American aviation research, but it was also a place defined by racial segregation. The black women hired for these complex calculation jobs were assigned to a separate unit, the West Area Computing Unit. They were brilliant, resourceful women like Dorothy Vaughan, who supervised the pool, and Mary Jackson, who would become the agency's first black female engineer. The segregation was absolute. They ate at separate tables, used separate bathrooms, and their work was often undervalued. Yet, they shared an unparalleled intellectual strength. Their task was arduous, performing complex calculations entirely by hand, using slide rules, adding machines, and sheer mental power. But Katherine's skills were too prodigious to keep confined. Within weeks of starting, she was temporarily assigned to the all-male, all-white Flight Research Division. It was a temporary assignment that quickly became permanent, a testament to her undeniable value. She possessed a unique mix of ability and assertiveness. She asked questions. She insisted on attending editorial meetings, where women, especially black women, were expressly forbidden. When told, "Girls don't go to the meetings," she famously replied, "Is there a law against it?" There was not. And so, she went. She fought her way into the very discussions that shaped the research, becoming the first woman in that division to have her name on a research report. Then, on October 4, 1957, the world changed forever. The Soviet Union launched Sputnik, triggering a national crisis and transforming NASA into the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. The focus shifted overnight from optimizing airplane wings to achieving orbital flight. The stakes were existential, and the math was exponentially harder. Katherine Johnson's expertise became indispensable. Her job was to calculate the trajectories for the new experimental rockets. This required solving systems of differential equations that mapped the constantly shifting forces of gravity, thrust, and air resistance. The success of the mission, and the lives of the astronauts, depended on her calculations. In 1958, she co-authored a key report, Determination of Azimuth Angle at Burnout for placing a satellite over a selected Earth position. This may sound technical, but its significance was profound. By adding her name to this paper, she broke a long-standing tradition. No woman's name had ever appeared as an author on a Flight Research Division paper. It marked her as an irreplaceable contributor, a co-creator of America's journey into space. Her work was critical for Alan Shepard's 1961 mission, Freedom 7, America's first trip into space. She calculated the path that ensured the capsule and the astronaut would successfully splash down in the Atlantic Ocean, ready for recovery. Her mind was quickly establishing itself as the most reliable tool in the hangar. The next target was orbit. Project Mercury. The goal: send an American astronaut around the Earth. But as the launch date for John Glenn's mission, Friendship 7, approached in early 1962, a new rival appeared in the control room, the IBM electronic computer. The massive machine was hailed as the future. It could calculate complex trajectories in seconds that took the human computer's days. But the astronauts were wary. They were entrusting their lives to a complicated network of wires and tubes, and they were nervous about placing blind faith in the new technology. Could the computers be trusted with the ultimate calculation, the orbital path that would bring John Glenn safely home? Astronaut John Glenn, a man of profound courage and methodical caution, made a legendary demand. He declared that he would not fly unless Katherine Johnson personally verified the machine's orbital calculations. If she says they're good, Glenn insisted, then I'm ready to go. It was the ultimate vote of confidence. Glenn wasn't trusting technology. He was trusting a mind. He was bypassing the electronic brain for the human computer. Katherine spent days in a tiny room, hunched over her desk, working the equations of the Euler method by hand. She calculated the precise points of launch window, insertion orbit, possible abort paths, and re-entry coordinates. Her calculations, performed with meticulous care, confirmed the machine's output. The numbers matched. Glenn had his assurance. On February 20, 1962, John Glenn successfully orbited the Earth 3 times, becoming an American hero. When a warning light flashed in his capsule during the mission, signaling potential failure, it was Katherine's quick, previously calculated re-entry numbers that were fed to mission control, ensuring his safe, successful return. The success of Friendship 7 was a triumph of engineering, courage, and, most critically, Katherine Johnson's perfect math. Her work was not just an achievement, it was a rescue. With Mercury a success, NASA set its sights on the most ambitious goal ever conceived, the Apollo program, sending humans to the moon. This was an infinitely more complicated mathematical problem. Landing on the moon required not just calculating a path to a single target, but determining the precise trajectory to align 2 moving objects in space, the orbiting command module and the lunar lander. For this mission, Katherine was instrumental in calculating the complex rendezvous trajectories, the exact timing and positioning needed for the lunar lander, after ascending from the moon's surface, to meet and dock with the orbiting command module. It was a problem of celestial mechanics and perfect timing. Too fast, and they'd crash. Too slow, and they'd drift apart forever in the vastness of space. Her work provided the crucial backup and validation for the navigational system used in the 1969 Apollo 11 moon landing. When Neil Armstrong famously uttered those words, "The Eagle has landed," it was the final, triumphant realization of Katherine Johnson's intricate, flawless calculations. Katherine Johnson continued her critical work through the Space Shuttle program, contributing to the early blueprints for the reusable spacecraft and the Earth Resources satellite. She co-authored 26 scientific papers in her career. She was always pushing the limits, always demanding the best possible data, always focused on the safety of the mission. She was an uncompromising guardian of cosmic arithmetic. Katherine Johnson retired from NASA in 1986 after 33 years of service. Her contributions were vast, spanning the entire early American space effort, from the first suborbital flight to the first lunar landing and the beginnings of the shuttle program. For decades, her story, like the stories of so many black women who powered the space race, remained largely unheralded. She was a silent powerhouse, her equations saving lives and defining history from behind the scenes. That began to change dramatically in 2015. President Barack Obama awarded Katherine Johnson the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States, acknowledging her singular role in the nation's history. The following year, the world learned her name through the blockbuster film, Hidden Figures. The film finally spotlighted the immense talent and profound contribution of the West Area computers, Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and Mary Jackson, cementing their place not just in NASA history, but in the broader narrative of civil rights, mathematics, and scientific achievement. Katherine Johnson passed away in 2020 at the age of 101, but her legacy endures. Today, NASA facilities bear her name. Her life proves that true genius knows no color, gender, or boundaries. She didn't just calculate trajectories to the moon. She charted a new trajectory for possibility itself. She was the woman who checked the numbers, the mind that saved the mission, and the human computer who showed the world what happens when we refuse to let genius remain hidden. Thank you for watching, and if you like this documentary, so do like, share and subscribe the channel and stay tuned.